Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. Everybody's eagerly into this one. Was pretty good. We posted this one on there and said announced it. There's a lot of people that has expressed some interest, so it was really great to get you on there. I know Bill had been messaging you quite a bit, and now we get to kind of hear what's going on. And I think, and we were talking a little bit before you jumped on, and it was, when COVID hit and everything was like kind of going crazy, you guys really segued into it was like business as usual. You guys were like, this is what we're going to do, that we're in the business of serving people, and we're going to do what we do, what we've been trained to do. And honestly, at this point, like, you guys should probably just be in charge of like the post office and everything else in terms of logistics, because you guys do a fantastic job. Like, I've seen it where I'm like still in the road, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to wait this long. And I look, and I've been through in and out in like 5 minutes. So it's crazy to see you guys make that shift. So I'm really interested to seeing what you have in terms of just leadership, and how Chick-fil-A kind of just segued into saying this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah. Yep.
Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Wonderful. It's working. Great. Yeah, well, that was a good segue, Jason. Thank you. So our hope would be, like, when you come through Chick-fil-A, that you would just say, hey, there's just something different about this place as opposed to McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, wherever. And I love hearing stories like that, Jason, and stories from our customers. My favorite, I always have to tell this story. I was at UT doing some recruiting at their College of Business. This is last fall. And this professor walks up to me and she goes, oh my gosh, I love Chick-fil-A. I'm like, oh, that's great. Tell me, why do you love Chick-fil-A? And she tells me this story. She said one of her best friends was in Cleveland in the hospital, and she was facing the last days of a prolonged battle with cancer, and her friend's favorite restaurant was Chick-fil-A. So this professor goes to a Chick-fil-A here in town. Unfortunately, it was not my Chick-fil-A, but she goes to a Chick-fil-A here in town to get a gift card for her friend so that her friend's family and her friend could have a meal in the hospital. So she goes to this Chick-fil-A, and she's kind of upset because she's thinking about her friend, and a shift leader was on the register taking her order and could tell something was wrong. And so the manager engages this lady and says, hey, what's going on? And this lady just shares the story about her friend and her battle with cancer and it being her favorite restaurant. And so the professor buys this gift card, and the team member got some information from the professor about this friend and the hospital she was staying in. And so the professor leaves the restaurant, and then what happened next is amazing. This team member calls the closest Chick-fil-A in Cleveland to that hospital, tells them the story, and that Chick-fil-A in Cleveland sends a free catered meal, team members, balloons, the Chick-fil-A cow, and they throw this lady a party. And the professor's looking at me and really like misty-eyed. She looks at me and says, that was one of the last happy moments that my friend had on earth. And I love that story. I love telling that story because it really gets to who we want to be as a brand. So at Chick-fil-A, we're all about one word. You think about Disney, they're all about magic. They want to be the most magical company on earth. Think about Amazon, their convenience. You think about Apple, their ingenuity. At Chick-fil-A, we want to be known for one word, and the one word is this. The word is care. So this is literally our mission statement as an organization. We want to be the world's most caring company. And then here's our business strategy. How are we going to do it? We're going to do it, we say, by winning hearts every day. And that's the difference. We want to win the hearts of our team so they can then in turn win the hearts of our guests so that we can become the world's most caring company. So this focus on care, on really great service, it's led to a lot of success for us. So you can see these are some of the just articles and highlights from 2019. You can see over on the left, Chick-fil-A ranked first in customer satisfaction for like the 12th or 15th year running or something. This came out like a month or so ago. We hit once again the best, most loved restaurant in America. You can see over on the right here, every chain from McDonald's to Starbucks to Buffalo Wild Wings wants to be Chick-fil-A. So this focus on care, on customer service, on customer experience has led to a lot of success for us. What that looks like, and Jonathan, I'd be interested to see if these stats are correct from your perspective, but what this looks like, the average Chick-fil-A on average last year in 2019 did about $6.2 million per restaurant. And everything I've read, Jonathan, the average McDonald's does anywhere from 2.5 to 3. And then you go down to like a KFC, Taco Bell, you're looking at like $1 to $1.5 million per restaurant. And think about this, we're closed on Sunday, and a lot of these other restaurants are open 24 hours a day. So here locally at Airport, we'll actually crack. I never thought this would be possible. When we opened Airport Highway, Chick-fil-A said it's going to be a low volume restaurant. You're going to do about $2.8 million. So that first year in 2015, we did 4.2. And then this year, we're actually going to crack $10 million at Airport, one restaurant, which is crazy. And then Central and McCord will do a little over 7. So Toledo's been a tremendous market for us. We've been very fortunate. Before I get to this slide, I'll say what that looks like on shift. We've actually, so since COVID, our business, and we took mid-March there, we took a dip about 30% when everyone was taking a dip, when the lockdown happened. But really, and take this for what it is, the week that those stimulus checks went out, I mean, things just started to skyrocket. So since then, I mean, we've just been, every month has been our busiest month ever. So starting in May, we've been trending about 30% over last year, which is crazy growth from a restaurant perspective. So at Airport Highway, that looks like, not exaggerating, Saturday afternoon, about 50 team members working at one time just to make that drive-through happen. Yeah, but so we have tremendous team members. So people always ask me, where do you find your people? How do you recruit them? Where do you find them? I mean, especially now, I'm sure you guys know, if you have any team members, it's really, really hard to find great talent right now, just because all the free money that's out there. So people always ask me that, and we recruit from the same batch of employees that you guys do. We use Indeed, we use job fairs, we use online social media stuff. But what we try and do, what we're just really big on, is this: getting people and getting the team to buy into that purpose, to buy into that whole idea of care. I'm sure you guys have seen or heard of Simon Sinek, leadership author, has a great book called Start With Why. In that book, he has this quote. He said, "People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And what you do simply proves what you believe." So for me as the franchisee, I would say one of the worst things I've ever done, I tell people this, is that I removed myself from the orientation process for about 6 months. And I say that was the worst decision I ever made, because what I saw happening was team members, they didn't understand our heritage. They didn't understand our culture. They didn't understand our story. So I took orientation back over really with this one goal, is to get them to hear my passion for Chick-fil-A, to get them to hear our culture, our heritage, our story, and to really get them excited about this whole idea of buying into this idea of being the world's most caring company. And if you know anything about Chick-fil-A, you've probably heard the name Truett Cathy. He was the founder of Chick-fil-A. He started Chick-fil-A in 1967, and he led the company all the way until 2013, and then passed away in 2014. So this guy was 92 years old, leading a $10 billion company at the time. I'm going to try and show you this minute video about Truett Cathy and his life. If the audio doesn't come through, let me know and I'll skip over it here.
A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. Proverbs 22:1. S. Truett Cathy, a larger-than-life character who flourished from despair and lived his life to inspire and enable others to do the same. He was the embodiment of humility and patience, service and grace. A good name indeed. Born during the Depression, Truett learned the value of hard work and customer service at a very young age. He was a true entrepreneur, not just a business owner. Today, his ideas, ideals, and legacy live on through his cherished family, friends, and business. He was the inventor of the chicken sandwich, but known for so much more. Truett gave millions of dollars to allow students to attend college and campers to experience the summer of a lifetime. He established dozens of foster homes and countless philanthropies. He was a remarkable man, husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, and friend. Today, we celebrate the life and legacy of Truett Cathy. Thank you, Truett.
It's been my pleasure.
Yeah, so you just can't underestimate just the impact and influence of a centered, value-driven leader on an organization, right? Especially when they lead it for 47 years. I'd say one of the best things Truett ever did for us is he came up with our corporate purpose. Not only did he come up with it, he also just lived it out every single day of his tenure at the helm of Chick-fil-A. So here's the purpose Truett came up with for the business. He said this: we exist to glorify God by being a faithful steward of all that is entrusted to us and to have a positive impact on all who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. So I'll break that down a little bit. So glorify God piece. Obviously, you guys know we're closed on what day? Sunday, right? So from the beginning, people always said that's a really dumb business decision. Because at this point, the billions of dollars of profit we've lost. But Truett would always say that's the best decision I ever made. Because from the get-go, it said we're going to be a company that operates on principle and puts people over profit. And he would always say the reason we're better than everyone else Monday through Saturday is because we actually get Sunday to rest. And if any of you guys have ever worked in retail or food service or have friends that do, I mean, you know it can be a grind. And it's just tremendous to know, no matter how busy you are, that Sunday's coming. People ask me sometimes, do you have to be a Christian or a person of faith to own a Chick-fil-A or to work at a Chick-fil-A? And I'll answer like Truett did. He always answered, absolutely not. But you better act like one, meaning you better just treat people with honor, dignity, and respect. I got to meet Truett a few times. First time I met him, I had just become a franchisee. And I went into his office and it was just me and him, and I'm all nervous because I'm like, wow, he's like 90 years old and he's the founder of Chick-fil-A, and what am I going to say? And he's like, Justin, sit down. So I sit down at his desk and he hands me a ruler, and it's just this 12-inch ruler. And on the front of it, it says a good rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And so for the next 20, 30 minutes, I mean, you guys have heard that before, obviously, right? The golden rule. You know, the next 20 or 30 minutes, he just talks to me. Hey, Justin, as you go to Toledo, as you take over the business, just keep that in mind. Treat your people like you'd want to be treated, and treat your customers like you'd want to be treated, and everything else will fall into place. He was a tremendous person. So I would say this: the whole onboarding process for us, it's a 2-week period. Okay, it starts with me. I give this impassioned Chick-fil-A, rah, rah, go get them heritage culture speech. But everything we want to do in that first 2 weeks is to win the hearts of our team with our purpose, with our mission, with what we're about. Because we believe if they're bought into that, we can teach the behaviors, right? So I love this quote. I don't know who said it, but it says, aim for their hearts and you'll get their hands. Aim for their hands and you'll get neither. I'm sure you guys have heard the phrase culture trumps strategy all day long. So Chick-fil-A, we're just very, very, very heavy culture. And then we try and throw some pretty significant strategy at that as well. So that's a little bit about our purpose and heritage. I'm going to transition now into our process. So this whole idea of winning the hearts of customers. What's our process of caring for guests at Chick-fil-A? We would say this: any process, if you want to be caring, you need 2 things. It needs competence and warmth. So competence answers the question, what do our customers want? You got to answer that question if you're in business. Warmth answers the question, this is often missed, how do we want our customers to feel when they're done interacting with us? So we've taken those 2 questions and the answers, and we've boiled it down into this. Well, don't go share this with Burger King, please, or McDonald's. Jonathan, please don't share this with whoever, but this is Chick-fil-A's business strategy. We call it winning hearts every day. It's very simple. How do we win the hearts of our guests? We serve really good food, fast and accurate service through people that care. Now, you would think every restaurant would have something like this. I'm sure they do. I think the difference between us and others is that we just try and implement the heck out of this every single day. So you take fast and accurate service, for example. Jason, you were mentioning, so probably about 7 or 8 years ago, Chick-fil-A started investing heavily in drive-through technology and systems because we could see the trend was coming, that more and more of the business started trending that way. So pre-COVID, it was about 75% of our business was drive-through. And only about 25% of people actually came in to sit down. When we opened Airport Highway, the first year, our record in drive-through was 140 cars in 1 hour, okay, which was pretty good. Well, let me backtrack a little bit. So the reason we've invested so much in drive-through is, well, obviously business is trending that way towards convenience. Secondly, all Chick-fil-A's research would say the #1 driver of customer satisfaction is speed. So more than anything, taste, cleanliness, friendliness, customers care about speed the most. It's the whole convenience economy. So start investing heavily, 140 cars. How do we push it? How do we push it? Pre-COVID, our record was 220 cars in 1 hour, which is about 1 car every 15.6 seconds. So we've had to pivot a lot since COVID. Okay, how do we get better? How do we get quicker? How do we get more cars through? And a couple weeks ago at Airport Highway, this is mind-boggling, we hit 295 cars in 1 hour. Which is just, it's awesome. It's just super fun to be part of that. But all I have to say, it just comes from people that are bought in, who want to execute a system and care for guests and are always working to make it better. And here's, so does something as simple as fast service, can that actually win the heart of a guest? I'm going to show you a couple customer comments here. You guys are probably familiar with Jordan Strack. He is WTOL's sports guy. I think it's WTOL. He came through our drive-thru. He says this: so I'm at the Chick-fil-A drive-thru on airport. There are at least 20 cars easily. I was through in 4 minutes. 4. They had like 6 people outside taking orders, directing traffic, handing out receipts. The kid told me they got 212 cars through in 1 hour the other day. And that's, mind blown at that. This was a recent Google review here. It's the first one. Teresa Shunk, about towards the end of the paragraph, she says this was the fastest drive-through experience in the history of man, which I love that. That was a tremendous compliment. But all I have to say, competence can win the hearts of your guests. So when win the hearts of our team, come up with great restaurant systems that we can execute at a very high level that will win the hearts of our guests. Again, not rocket science. We just work really hard at it. And then this is our warmth play, if you will. So competent, serve great food, serve it really fast and accurate by people who care. And here we're just drilling down into the people who care. So people all the time ask me, oh my gosh, where do you find your people? How do you train them? This is our secret sauce right here. Please don't share it with Dunkin' Donuts. You can see the first thing we do at orientation, the very first thing is we teach them what we call the core 4. Basic human interaction. Look them in the eye, smile, speak with a friendly tone, and always say, my pleasure. I'm doing orientation later today, and I will teach them this in the first 5 minutes, and we will make everyone go around the room and introduce themselves using the core 4. And we just hit on this from day 1 of training all throughout people's tenure with us. So that's the first mile. Here's what really differentiates us. So we talk a lot about going the second mile at Chick-fil-A, what we call second mile service. So Truett Cathy, obviously, if you go back to our purpose statement, he was a man of faith. Jesus in the Gospels, he said, if someone asks you to go with him 1 mile, go with him the second mile. And that's where that comes from. So we want to go above and beyond. So some things we do, at least when our dining room was open, is every guest will get a refresh. So someone's out there working the dining room floor, every guest will get a refresh. We would run and hold doors open for guests. We would, when it was raining or snowing, we'd run out to guest cars with umbrellas and walk them into the restaurant. Moms with kids, we make sure we walk their tray out to them, get them their high chair, get them everything they need. We give people mints and hand wipes, just anything we can do to go above and beyond and to go the second mile we would do for our guests. How much time we got here, Jason?
Got about 5 more minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. How about this? I'll skip this couple-minute video that I was going to show at the end, and I'll just take some questions from here if you guys have any questions.
Anybody got any questions? My biggest question.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I can't see here. How are your staff responding to working during the pandemic?
Yeah, so I think in general, there's just a lot of anxiety, right? I mean, they've been troopers. We have a tremendous staff. So, I mean, so when COVID first happened, we're very open about saying, hey, if you don't feel comfortable working, like, please don't work. So we're pretty good about communicating that from the beginning, because if you're going to be the most caring company in the world, you don't want to make someone work, right? Especially in a pandemic. But I mean, they've been troopers. Like, so the folks that want to work have worked, and pretty much everybody wants to work. I mean, as a leader, you just got to really double down on the emotional intelligence, right? Because it's a huge change in our operation. I mean, 2 things we talk about this leadership in general. Leadership is 2 questions. 1, where are you taking me? And then 2, how are you treating me along the way? So just with COVID, as we've had to change direction a little bit, as leaders, we've just tried to be a lot more in tune with asking team members, hey, how are you feeling? Are you feeling cared for? Is anything bothering you? And we've been doubling down on the snacks and pizza parties, and we did a couple rounds of big COVID bonus. But they've handled it pretty well. It was a tough transition at first, especially wearing masks outside, 90-degree heat. But they've been troopers.
Thank you, Justin.
Justin, I would love to have the full video just to get all your information. I don't have a question, just don't want to lose the information you have available, though.
Right.
Yeah. Is that good with everybody?
Justin, I got a question for you if you can hear me.
Yeah.
I know with a lot of the sit-down restaurants, they're very easy to manipulate in order to open their dining rooms back up to bring guests in. And I noticed with a lot of the fast food restaurants, period, in the area, I know your space requirements make that a little hard for you guys to open up and social distance inside the dining rooms. Is there, does Chick-fil-A have plans for that in the near future? Is there a way to work that out with the fast food industry?
Yeah, so they have a couple levels that we're actually allowed to execute right now. Level 1 would just be carry out only. So I'm the only Chick-fil-A in town that is not open for carry out. The other Chick-fil-A's you can come in, order, and take it out. Level 2 is sit down service. So Chick-fil-A is not mandating any of that, at least until 2021. From my perspective, to go back to, I don't know who asked the question, but just from a team member standpoint, like, I want to take as much anxiety out of the system as possible. And if I don't have to have people coming in the door, potentially spreading germs, potentially exposing the team to COVID, I just don't want to. To me, it's one less variable to worry about, and it's just another way to make the team feel cared for that way.
I thought somebody else had a question. Is anybody else? So my son's big question is, do you guys sell your barbecue sauce? Because like every time we go there, he's like, I need extra barbecue sauce because we keep running out at home. So
We do, yeah. So we sell it in 8-ounce cups, but like next month we're coming out with 8-ounce squeeze bottle you can buy.
oh man.
We'll actually be able to buy those in the grocery store with our sauces, and all the profit from that will go towards team member scholarships, which is awesome.
Oh, fantastic. So what was, how did you guys, I mean, I'm assuming like once all this hit and you guys had to hire frantically with the amount of business that kind of, you said, kept spiking, how did you guys still manage that and not let anybody fall through the cracks in terms of teaching your values? Because that was the hardest thing when I ran restaurants. It was like, oh, I'm severely understaffed. I got to hire 10 people. Hopefully 2 stick around. And I need to try to teach them this, but I got to throw them on the floor too. I think all of us have had that trial by fire. And it seems like you guys do a really good job of not letting that happen.
Yeah, so we invest heavily in it. So training is 40 hours before you're allowed to be by yourself on the floor. And each store has a front of house and back of house training manager. And their job is to literally oversee that team member for the first 2 weeks. So it's 40 hours over 2 weeks. And they're meeting regularly with that training manager. And that training manager has a team of 4 or 5 trainers under them that are able to execute the day-to-day training. But that training manager's ultimate responsibility for making sure, I mean, we talk about 3 things with training: making sure we've won their heart. So have we won their heart? Are they bought in? 2, do they know the standards? And then 3, are they game time ready? Can they actually execute in the operation? So that's that head trainer's job, is to make sure that every teamer that walks through the door in 2 weeks, we've won the heart, they know the standards, and they're game time ready. But it's a significant investment. But someone along the line said, you don't say you can't afford to train people. Yeah, what's true is you can't afford not to train people, right?
Absolutely.
And it's just, in our business where there's high turnover with students going off to college or life changes, it's just a significant investment we have to make.
Absolutely. So we only got a couple more minutes left. So I want to say thanks, Justin, for coming in there and speaking with us. This is one of the best interviews I've got to listen to, so I appreciate it. It's always been one of those things where, you said it yourself. It's kind of simple. It's just no one really implements it. So there's no secret sauce. It's no big secret or anything. It's just one of those where you guys just do it and you do it well. And it's definitely one of them. You get people to buy in, and they got to buy into the culture and drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak. And once they got that, then it's a lot easier. So I appreciate all your time today.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Anybody have anything else in the last couple minutes? Any announcements or anything going on?